Welcome back, fellow scrubs, to another dev day. It's Monday, so we're doing Pocket Fighter EX, which is, of course, a free fan game not affiliated or endorsed or funded by Capcom or SNK, just to make it clear. And so I guess we'll just kind of get right into it. Not too much, excuse me, not too much visually has changed since last time. Most of it's just been behind the scenes kind of stuff. Finishing up with the where is it? Like for the object pulling, you see all the objects are already here and ready to be referenced. I also moved the characters out of the stage controller. It is more inefficient to have an object inside of another one, because when the object's position changes, it has to reference, other stuff, not just itself. So everything's all in the, everything's all in the base level here, if you want to call it that, in the hierarchy. It's all in the top level. There's nothing inside the, obviously fighters have to have their own components, and like the HUD has to have its own components, but as far as like the actual fighters and the Hadokens and all the effects and stuff, they happen outside. So, and the puller seems to be working because everything is here already to be referenced, and it made all the sound effect objects, everything's good. So it theoretically doesn't have to produce anything during the actual fight. And if it does, it will post an error. So if I do happen to see that throughout the course of today's stream, I probably will try to address it. Otherwise, let's see, what was the other thing I did? That was kind of the big one. What did I change? Oh yeah, I did change something for Ryu. When Ryu does his... Oh, already. Snokey is followed. Thank you, Snokey. When Ryu does his Shoryuken, and some of the older games do have this issue, the way it works is it's just an animation that goes up and goes down. The problem is if the animation doesn't, it goes down in exact measure that it goes up, but if for some reason Ryu's Y position gets changed during this animation, he may not actually land on the ground. He may actually land like halfway, or not halfway, but like slightly above, and he might airwalk is usually the issue. And if you've seen glitch videos of Street Fighter and King of Fighters, characters can quite easily airwalk in certain situations. A very edge case, but they do happen. So let's see. I address this. So here's the normal. See how it's animated. In the animation is what moves him up and down, and then he lands and he does his recovery. To help stem this, I actually made him go down. Should be a -1, but it doesn't look like it is set here. I usually set it to negative or -0.1. so that he goes into the 4 and it gets corrected back up, just in case. But there were still edge cases where he might have airwalked. And so I've changed it now that the Shoryuken animation only goes up to here. And what happens here is I tell it to start falling, so I activate the falling code, and then he will just continue to fall down until he reaches the ground and actually does land. And so I did that for the light and the heavy. I haven't done it for the EX yet, but I am in the process of switching those over. And I think that's important to, fix those airwalk glitches and that kind of stuff. So that was pretty much all that really changed. A lot of work went into getting the pooling and getting more optimizations on the table. Oh, and corner behavior is a bit more solid, how it behaves in the corner. I talked to, I'm not sure, what was his name again? Let me look it up quick, so I can just give him a little shout out here. Okay, I got the address. Boom, this guy. This guy, he made a program called Street Fighter V Simulator so that you can simulate combos and situations and stuff. He also does like tests for like input latency and that kind of stuff. I think he's actually handed over the Street Fighter Sim project over to someone else at this point, if I understand correctly. But anyway, he did a lot of research on a lot of games and how they behave. So he's super knowledgeable in like the technical aspects and how the games react and do, like, in this case I posed a question to him about border correction for Street Fighter V because it works differently than the other ones typically, because you can jump over them and land on the other side, and I thought that was interesting, not only because it forces you to use neutral normals unless you're back here, because normally you would be able to just jump in and use, you know, your better jumping normal in the corner. But here you actually have to think a little bit more about, you know, which one you're going to use, because if you jump, of course, you're going to fall on the other side, which also creates the opportunity to cross people up too in the corner, which, I don't know. Some people don't seem to like it, but I thought it was quite interesting. I thought it was a good move. Now in Street Fighter V it doesn't mean too much because most of your air normals don't have a forward or back direction. They're just, you know, like this all the time. And that can cause some obvious problems in gameplay, and it's one of the things that people have criticized about it, that there's no directional normals in there. I mean, some characters have them, like Chun-Li's got it, and I think Ken and Ryu have a variation. Oh, and I just killed chat. Okay, we're back. Chat is back. I got an X input controller, so I put my cursor in the edge window, and it started controlling it. I was controlling Ryu, and it went back. It went back to the page before it, but it's fixed now. So yeah, that was one of the major complaints, that everything was kind of like the best air normal all the time anyway, even in a neutral situation, or neutral jump. But since we don't have that, I think it will be a little bit better. I mean, we do have things, obviously, if you want to come down and hit lower, you're going to want to use Fierce Punch, because the hitbox is lower than this. This is, you know, this one's more of an air-to-air. And this is kind of like, you know, you're getting in on them. But, I mean, if you're jumping in, you want to use this because this one's the best one. But if you're in a neutral situation, you've got to use that one, because that's the one that hits the deepest. I mean, you can still use this one, but you have more of an opportunity to miss it, you know. Hold on. So if you do it too early. But if you do this one at the same timing, you'll still get it, because it hits lower, and it has more priority lower too. If I pause it here, you see that it's got, you know, there's no hurt box extending downward, so this is the one you want to use, you know, if you're trying to get in on them. Like, say if eventually Chun's gonna be in, obviously, if she gets her EX spinning bird, this is what's gonna beat it. You'll be able to land on top of it with this, because the hurt box is already gone. Oh, trying to get it here, because there's no hurt box below this, so you'd be able to land on EX spinning bird and do damage without getting hit yourself. That's one example of why you would want to use that. And so in a neutral situation, that's your best bet. Otherwise, you want to use this because it's the lowest angle jump in. You know, it's to help you. It's also the highest range too. Oh, that's not what I want. Oh, nope. There, you can get that. So you can do stuff like that. But yeah, if you are close enough to neutral jump, you want to use that. So that's a little bit about that. But yeah, so I talked to him about the behavior because I was never satisfied with the way that the corner behavior worked. So I've made the adjustments that we think that Street Fighter V ends up doing, and it's not too complicated. It is actually kind of obvious in hindsight, but obviously when you move past the barrier here, it's going to push you back. So this red line actually represents the barrier at the edge of the screen, and it will push you back into the stage. So what we did is, depending on, I guess the most obvious change is we changed at what point the game decides to push you back in. So if we do, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like if there's no wall here, and you do that, you see how they go backwards? But here, they're stuck to the wall and they don't go backwards. Well, you're still going backwards when the frame progresses. It's just they go out of bounds and then they get snapped back in every frame. So we take the positions before it snaps them back in to determine who's left or right. Because when you do this, they're both on the same X. If they fall on top of each other, they're both being pushed back in and they have the same X value. So it's like, okay, so who's left or right? You don't know, because it's being corrected to that single value. And so we just took the values that were there before the border correction takes place and used that to get an idea of who's left or right, and then use that information to sort of base, kind of like use half that information and half the adjusted information when they do get snapped back in to determine how they behave, you know, who's on left or right, that kind of stuff. Oh, it was interesting. It was interesting. We had a bit of back and forth to go over some stuff and found some oddities, or well, he found some oddities rather, and how Street Fighter V's code behaves, like with Vega's, I think it's a Barcelona flip or something. The thing when he jumps to the wall and comes back down on top of you, like the way that the game handles that is actually a little strange, and so we had pretty good conversation. So I did want to give him a shout out. So did I still have it up? Yeah. So this guy's really knowledgeable. Follow him if you're interested in that stuff. So he actually got a very short handle, WYDD. So that guy's cool. I guess Loic? I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't want to butcher it. I guess it's Loic. I don't know. Anyway, cool dude. Really helpful. Really good guy. So send him a little love. He deserves it. So that's pretty much it that's changed. A lot of technical stuff, a lot of glitch fixing, and you know, getting certain behaviors all mapped out. And of course the Shoryukens fall. Right. Oh, yeah, okay. So that just if you're wondering, that doesn't normally happen. I was gonna say, oh, that was weird. It's just the hitbox system gets a little wonky when you start editing animations, so you'll see it goes away when you're not screwing with it. See, it don't happen no more. The reason it happens is because there's uninitiated hitboxes in the animation. So if it only calls to change the value of 2 hitboxes, the other hitboxes don't get flushed out after you enter the animation editor. And I'm not really sure. It's just a little quirky Unity, so I don't bother with it too much, because it won't actually ever happen in normal gameplay. But yeah, so that's pretty much it as what happened between last week and this week. And so what we're working on today is finally getting Ken's hitboxes changed over. So his hitboxes are out of date. They're not the proper size, they're not the proper philosophy, let's say, too. And so I also adjusted a few of his animations already. So his light punch and his light kick have been restored, and their hitboxes have been changed to be more in line with what what we've got for Ryu. So you notice like the size of the standing hitbox here. Now let me activate one more thing here and you'll see what I mean. Let's see, we want heavy standing. Oh, that's for use. Alright, hold on. Command moves. Standing. Wait, special. Are these anyone's named standing? Where's the other one? Are they just called heavy kick and oh yeah, heavy punch, heavy kick. Okay. Do heavy punch. It might be easier to see that. So this is a normal attack. And yeah, normal. Okay. So that that should reactivate. And notice how his body shrinks. The size of his green hitbox actually shrinks in behind him and stuff. That's because that was the old ones that I did, and they don't measure up to my refined, new standing boxes. So those have to be adjusted. You see the push box is much smaller than it was before, or than it was in the standing. So all that has to get adjusted. And I guess we'll start with that one, since that's the one presented to us right now. Oh yeah, I also need... I got notes on what the sizes of these are. Okay, yeah, so I made notes. This is what the measurements of the standing hurt box and body space or push box or whatever you want to call it. And then the crouching and the jumping and grab and all that. So all that's got to change, of course. Yeah, I'm just going to have that over on the other window, and I'll reference it as we go along. Okay, so now that we've reactivated the move, we need... yeah, standing heavy punch. Okay. So this is the hitbox file. Actually, you know what? We're just going to copy and reuse, because his are already adjusted. And it's basically the same animation. We might have to adjust a few things, but it should be, for the most part, pretty much the same. So let's see. Oh. Was that Tears? Yeah, that's Tears. That's a favorite KOF track of mine. Okay, so standing heavy punch, that's Ken's. We want to go to reuse hitboxes, standing heavy punch, and copy move. I'm so glad that I put those copy functions in. And then, okay, so we're back in Ken's standing heavy punch. Just want to make sure I'm getting the right one here. And yeah, just paste the whole thing. And let's see. And that looks a bit better. Okay. So you can do that. Can't get into this from anything, but that's okay. That's more of a jump-in thing anyway. Alright, so let's look at where his fist comes through. Oh, you know what? Let me get Ryu moving here. Okay, so it's 1 pixel off the end of the fist. I think Ken's was the same way. Yeah, it's 1 pixel off the end of the fist. So his animation looks aligned properly with it. Let's make sure it looks okay without the boxes. Yeah. Looks pretty good. Or he's pivoting like that. I'm also going through and touching up the animations. I did the light kick actually timed a little differently. So, okay. Easy peasy. There's another one down. Alright. Standing heavy kick is going to be very different for Ken than it was for Ryu. So... just heavy kick, right? Yeah, here it is. It is a normal, and we'll use the timing of a normal. And there she is. But the boxes are going to be all jimmied up. They don't look too terrible, but we'll go through them here. And I got a slightly different philosophy going on for the way the normals work now. As you can see, the hurtbox does not extend all the way encompassing the hitbox. And it wasn't necessarily 100% like that before, but what I did is I put a hurtbox after the hitbox disappeared, which made everything like super punishable, but I don't know. I kind of changed my mind on that as we went along. I guess it's more of a KOF-y kind of thing. Like Third Strike was like that as well. Not everything had like a big giant punishing hurtbox behind it like 4 and 5 have. So you got a little more priority on some attacks. And so that's the route I'm going with. So, we're going to modify the heavy kick. Standing heavy kick. Oh, hello, your boy Porret? I'm probably saying that wrong. Your boy Porret. Well, thank you. Thank you for the follow. Alright, so we gotta figure out what these are here. I didn't tag most of his stuff, but I'm assuming that that's going to be the standing one. Heavy kick. Okay. So let's see. Is the first one? It is that. Okay. Stand hurt. Well, we know it's a hurt box. Stand. We'll just call it stand. So this one will become -13. See, 26 and 39, which it already is. Let me make that a little bigger here so it's not got the bar. Kind of squishes everything in, but it is what it is, I guess. The game can get smaller, that's fine. Okay, so now that looks better. That looks wider like it would normally. And let's see. What else we got here? That body sprite doesn't look aligned all too well. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not zeroed out. Hold on. Let me turn on recording. There we go. Okay, that looks a little better. Well, actually, all miraculously looks like it lines up good. Oh, I see. I don't have the offset for the sprite down here because he's actually moving forward. So I just keep it up there because the camera moves with him. That's right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so his body space likewise has to change. So standing heavy kick, we got that one. So his first body space here, I'm assuming this one's it. Yeah. So this is -10, and then 20, and 38. Yeah, it's already 38. Okay, and that looks more in line with that. Okay, so he moves forward, nothing changes until here. Is he still keeping the same body space? Let's see. I call it stand. Number 12. Yep, you still got 12, but his other poses have changed here. I guess that's not that one. I wonder what that one's from. It could be unused. Alright, that's this one. And I'm just gonna kind of wing it here. So 39, that's the normal height. You know, honestly, you don't want it to be too, because he's got to have some invulnerability on the front part here, which is probably why it's as thin as it is. I'm actually gonna make it slightly smaller, so it really only represents like the leg. And then we're gonna use this second box here, which is probably this one. Yeah. So kick one, leg, we'll call it. Actually gonna make that bigger to match up to the top, and slightly wider. So that's your counter window. That's what you want to hit. You want to hit with a good standing attack, and then so he has less vulnerability on the bottom because his leg's up in the air. So, you know, see how it flows there. And then here, this one we're gonna change a bit. There's a couple things I want to change. One is that so it doesn't hit quite as low as that, and also doesn't hit quite as high as that, because it's not an anti-air. You don't want someone to be able to land on it and get completely knocked out by it. But the range looks pretty decent. The range looks okay. It can also get pushed forward a bit. Okay, so we've got, let's see, the body space is the same until we reach here, and then we're using 13. And this is, yeah, kick 2, I'm gonna call it. So kick frame 2. It's kind of just like, these are the standing frames, kick frame 1, which is different, and 2, which is the second one that's different. Okay, and this thing again, -10, and oh, it's already 20 and it's already 38, so that helps. And it doesn't look that big, but I guess it is. Probably gonna put it like right here, just to make sure that, you know, actually I'm just gonna make it a little bigger. Make sure it's actually pushing characters a little bit, so it looks like they're getting hit in the right spot. Let's actually make it 22. Okay, so a few things that I want to do. Might have to add a hitbox here to cover this portion so that he can be hit a little bit better here. Like this one in the back's okay. I don't mind that because that's about what it needs to be. No, it's actually it's a different box. It's a little bit bigger. So let's take a look here. Yeah, so this is kick 2 body. And it's pretty decent except for the height. Should be 39. And I'm assuming that this one is going to be, yeah, that's the leg. So kick 2 leg. I'm going to make that bigger so that it can match up to the top there. Again, it's not an anti-air. And I'll just pull it down just a little bit. It's not an anti-air, so it needs to be punishable from the air. And that looks like that would do it. And it's got a decent amount of priority. I probably don't want to change that. It's going to be one of his go-to standing attacks. You know, for getting people when they're not supposed to be throwing shit out there. And then we'll adjust the actual hit box, the actual damaging box itself. Again, it's got to be thinner, I think, and it's going to have to be higher. In fact, actually, I want to bring it out a little bit too. And so that was about where it was, I think. Or was it one in? Let's see. It's undo, undo, undo. Yeah, okay. So it's lined up with these pixels. Okay, so again, we'll take it out and we'll line it with these pixels. And that might be okay. So that won't hit low attacks. Low attacks will go under it. And it shouldn't be anti-airable. I mean, if you jump in at this angle, sure, fine, but and you're not doing anything. But I'm pretty sure that this is gonna make anything coming in on it, it's gonna get hit. It's gonna knock it right out. But down here, it's got pretty good priority because it doesn't have much of a hurt box covering it. And so I think we're done with that frame. I don't like that I shrunk this one, but didn't shrink this one. I don't know. I guess it's not too big a deal. Because without that height, it was a little weird. Yes, I think we're okay here. Okay, so this one, I want to get rid of this, potentially. So it's Ryu and Ken. They walk into a bar. What? What's the next part of the joke? Do I want to know? Okay, so one of these is going to be the leg extend. It's not that one. It shouldn't be this one. No, I didn't think so, because it shouldn't be grabbable. It's that one, and that's leg punish. Okay, if I did keep it, it would end up being something like this instead of that whole giant area, which might not be too terrible. Just to give it a little punishability, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel on it. Maybe we'll put it there for now, but... not quite sure it needs it, to be honest. Okay, and then from here to here... That one's too big. Let's see. That one's too tall, and I assume that it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. So this is recovery body 1. Yeah, so 39. I would say it should be more accurately like this. Because we're still a little under here. And then we'll see. Is this the recovery leg? Yeah. Recovery leg 1. So Ryu orders a beer, and Ken goes, "Can I have one too?" And Ryu says, "Sure you can." Right? Did I get it? Did I win the prize? Sure you can. Alright, so we're gonna make this taller. No, it visually doesn't represent that. But that's just to make it consistent with this kind of bit here. No, then Dmitry Maximoff walks in and beat the crap out of both of them. The end. Got you. Oh, well, I guess I got. Poor Dmitry. Where the hell's Dmitry been? He hasn't been in a game in Since SVC Chaos, right? They just kind of forgot about him. Poor bastard. 12, 13. Okay. Oh, I see. Alright. Yeah, so the next body space is not until here. Okay, this looks okay-ish, I think. Excuse me, a beer for me and my homeless poor friend here, please. Oh yeah, Rio. I don't know, Rio seems to always have a little bit of money at least. He just beats people up for money, which on paper sounds really awful. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. It's a little more consistent. The push box looks okay. The backwards hitbox looks okay. It might actually, to be honest, might actually be reeled in just a little bit. Oh, no, I didn't want to change the width. I wanted to change the X. Just like that, and then readjust the width to accommodate. There, I think that's pretty fair. Okay, so then this pose, recovery 2. I still don't know which one recovery 2 is up here. Is it this one? No, still not that one. So it might actually be unused. Yep, that's it. Recovery 2 body. Okay, again, 39 height. Has to be the standard here. It's normally a 26 width, which I think kind of represents here a little better. This is the real punish range here. Okay, the body space. This is recovery 2. Negative 10. 20, and looks like it was already 38, but doesn't hurt to help here. Okay, and then we'll just realign the X, and we'll see how it animates. That looks okay. I'll be honest, at this point, it could probably revert to the stand here. So 10 changes to 11, and 10 is that. Oh, it does have its own. Okay. Whatever. We'll just do it this way. That's fine. 13, 0, 26. 39? 39, yeah, that makes sense. And that looks a bit better. I like this stream. We can talk about random fighting games. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I'm glad that you enjoy it. That is what it is here for. Okay, and then the last one. Recovery 3. It's probably going to end up just being the usual. Yeah, because that looks right, because he's going back to his standing. Alright, that looks a little strange here, but... Boom. Yeah, this pose here is a little off. Okay, I see, because he's just being flipped on the X here. So I'm gonna want this position to be 0.2, I think. So from here to here. Oh, hold on. I gotta make sure that this is constant. Okay, and that should be better. Okay, and I'm looking at where the feet are on the left here. making sure that they don't really move substantially. So between these two frames. And then this one is going to have to go back to 0, I believe. And that looks a hell of a lot better. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, and we might actually be pretty much done with this one. So, let's see. Oh, it's hard to see in motion, but it looks good. I mean, I stare at this stuff all day, so I think it looks pretty good. Oh. Yeah, right about here is the max range. Alright, so does it look good without the hitboxes? It should. We didn't change too much on this end, and it was already pretty well animated, I think, so that looks good to me. Oh, oh, oh. Okay. Boom. Alright, I think it looks pretty decent, and I think the functionality has been very much refined here. I think it makes more sense the way that they're shaped. Boom, boom, boom. Come get some. You removed the hamster catching game from your Steam description. Why? Was about to ask if you made games full time. Okay. Why did I remove Hamster Drop from the Steam description? Partly because it is no longer available on any platform currently. So the message basically read, you know, if you want to support us, you can buy one of our games. And since you can no longer do that, it didn't make sense to have it there. So that's pretty much a short answer on that one. So, and do I make games full time? No, I used to. Now I do it in my spare time. So it's kind of it's a stream thing. Obviously, I can't sell Pocket Fighter EX because it's Capcom's and SNK's property. So that's just a fan game. That's just doing it because I want to do it. And why is it not available? Because Apple and Google had changed some stuff on their storefront, and so the game would have to be changed at this point, and it's kind of well, it's twofold. It's funny because I was actually just thinking about this, if anybody was going to ask, and lo and behold, someone actually did ask. So it's twofold. One, because they made changes and we have to update it to like 64-bit or something, and they got new guidelines that it doesn't follow, and so any app that hasn't complied with those changes has been removed, and that took place at different times over both stores for slightly different reasons. They've got our own guidelines and whatnot. With Apple, if anything new comes out and it doesn't conform to the new hardware, they immediately like knock you right off. So there's that. Oh, you have. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, so the second part of it is, so why haven't I bothered to make those changes and re-upload it? Or I should say we, because the Skylance Studio team is involved. It's not just me. Part of it is because if I'm going to re-release Hamster Drop, I want to make substantial changes to it. So I don't feel that obviously it's not the best it can be. It's the first game that we worked on commercially. But beyond that, I think there's many failings that I need to change in that game before I feel comfortable having people play it again, I think. And like, just for instance, I don't think there's enough variety in mechanics in the first area to hold people's interest. There's also, the boss battles are horrendous. We didn't have enough non-hamster catching elements to be able to remove the hamsters from the boss battles and focus on other stuff. So I'd like to add more hazards, like maybe less ones that specifically fall in a certain lane, but more like, you know, like traditional enemies. So you could have one that drops down, but it doesn't hurt you when it drops down, but it will follow you along the ground until like its timer runs out and it blows up, something like that, like a time bomb enemy. I want to do more with the kangaroos. I think there's more that can be done with that. You know, that kind of stuff. And if we can get more elements like that in, then the boss battles won't be as dry, I guess. Like, in order to compensate for the fact that there weren't a lot of mechanics to use other than in conjunction with catching hamsters, which again doesn't really happen in the boss battles, there's only a few hamsters. It felt like we had to make harder and harder patterns to make that more of an engaging thing, and I think we overdid that. And so like they're running along fine until they get to the area 2 boss, and that's like the death of a lot of people's runs. They just stop playing there because they just can't get through it. So I want to correct that, and I also want to make like a less difficult mode, but it's not just about giving them more health or whatever like it currently has. Like, you could have the challenge badge on or off, which would make it, you know, harder or less hard. Well, thank you. Wong Quan. Thank you for the follow. So if I don't make those kinds of changes, I don't think it's worth playing. And that's the other half of it. And I did start to restart the hamster game in Unity, but at the point that I am now, I realize there's so many structural things that I've learned in Unity that make that current build of the game just not up to snuff, that I do want to start it over at some point, and then like get it up to snuff, get the optimization in there, get all the stuff that I learned on Pocket Fighter and apply it to Hamster Drop. But it's also a big endeavor because obviously, like I said, I was working on games full time and I'm not now, means that didn't work out so well financially. So I don't have the purse to get help on it anymore. So if I do it, it's all on me to do, you know, all that stuff. And then doing it in spare time is pretty murderous. So it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I could start that project today and maybe in 2 years I'll be done. That kind of issue. So that's what I'm facing with it, and that's why it's kind of hitting on the wayside. So there's my long-winded explanation, but hopefully that made sense. And until I do remake it in that sense, I don't think that it's quite worth playing because of all the issues, like with the boss battles, that pretty much stopped people. Like, obviously there's hardcore players that are going to blow through it, and obviously the testers and us, we were able to do it, but it just wasn't calibrated right. It wasn't the right kind of difficulty. The boss battles were much more difficult. So like you say the area 2, and then the area 2 boss is cranked up really high, but then if you go to area 3-1, the difficulty slid back down substantially again. So it's that boss battle that's the real wall there. It's a real barrier for people, and it's a killer because they're all like that. They're all like substantially harder than the area that they're in. Again, for the reasons described. So 2 things I wanted to remedy, obviously, like what I said about adding more non-hamster catching elements so that the boss battles can be a little more diverse and we don't have to rely on difficulty to pad out the length of the battle. Because right now, part of the difficulty is it's like, okay, we made 10 different patterns with bombs, but that's kind of all we can do with it. It's maxed out. There's no more mechanical room to do more with that. So what do? We don't have any choice but to make harder patterns. So if we can eliminate that problem, that'll be fine. And then if I could get I would have to also design levels for an easier difficulty. Like literally redesign the levels for an easier difficulty. Like, keep the normal ones as they are now, tweak what I think needs to be tweaked, and then make an entirely new difficulty level, which would require redesigning every level in the game to be less difficult, including the bosses, of course, doubly so. And so that way you can play the mild version or the spicy version, I guess, if you want to call it that. And then we did have an idea to make like an extra spicy mode where it would take the patterns that are currently there, it speeds up the game a little bit, and it mirrors all the patterns. And then, like, I don't think you took more damage, but it was kind of like it doesn't sound like it changes much, but if you just take the pattern that's there and mirror it and then make it a little faster, it actually becomes substantially harder because you can't rely on your memory anymore of where to go. And I thought it was actually fun. It was a nice little quick inclusion, but that update never saw the light of day. But I would like to add something like that. So you'll have the 3 difficulties: the mild, the spicy, and then the extra spicy, or the ghost pepper difficulty. I don't know. I don't like using like easy, medium, and hard. I think those are dumb words to describe difficulty levels. I like to be a little more creative with it. So I would say, mild, spicy, and extra spicy, or something like that. So hopefully that answers the question. There's also Ecto Rush, which a lot of people don't know that we developed. But that was under a publisher, and that was a mess. That's all I'm gonna say. That was a mess. That was a problem. The publisher didn't work out too well. We'll put it that way. That's all I'll comment on that. So that one actually might be easier to remake, Ecto Rush, and I don't know if anybody's ever really seen it. Right now, you cannot play Ecto Rush. No, full time I'm not working on game dev stuff, unfortunately. I'm spending a lot of free time doing it, but I don't work for a company right now. It would be kind of cool if I could, but there's not much around here, and I've looked around and I can't really find too much in this area. A lot of stuff you gotta move for. And then there's like, okay, well, I'll say there's a lot of availability in places that I don't want to go. For instance, an easy example is like gambling applications. I will not do gambling applications, so that also limits my pool there. And most of the not having to move to San Francisco type jobs are gambling apps, and so that's disappointing, and I won't do those. Oh, I have a company. That's what we built Hamster up under. But we didn't make enough money to keep the doors open, so that was pretty much it. Can't pay the people ain't gonna show up. So both Ecto Rush and Hamster Drop were developed through Skylant Studio, which is my company. The first one we self-published, the second one we had a publisher, and it didn't work out. So that's it. So I'm as far as game dev is concerned, I'm a homeless game dev. I've got no home. Yeah, I know. Press F in chat. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. It didn't work out, and it's pretty much where we are. So I'm the only employee left because I'm the one who started it. So obviously I don't have to pay myself. And that's just how the cookie crumbled, unfortunately. So I went to make a fan game because that's smart, right? Well, that's also the other reason I'm doing the mansion game, to kind of do something more original too along with it. And hey, if that does something cool, if that turns into a thing, great. Then maybe I could put myself back on the map. But until then, I'm kind of stuck. So that's pretty much it. That's my sad game dev tale. Most game devs that start a company don't make it, unfortunately. So that aside, my little story is complete. So we'll move on to the next move here. Get out of here. These friggin' horse flies flying around the house. Yeah, pretty much. Most of them don't make it, and we didn't make it. Yeah, like, let's see. Best way I can put it, don't go into mobile. If you're not willing to be corrupt and abusive and manipulative, you're not going to make it in mobile. That'd be my game dev advice if you're looking to actually start a project or a company or something. Don't bother with mobile. I think that was our primary mistake. We're like, oh yeah, it'd be easy to get into, right? We'll do that, make a few bucks, and then we can move on to other stuff. Nope, that was the mistake. Absolute mistake. If you're not being manipulative and doing loot box shit and scamming people out of money, you're just not gonna go anywhere. You're gonna get buried by everything else on there. Now that it's an avalanche of bullshit. There's a million games on there, and you'll never stand out. And even if you do, if you don't have predatory practices, you're not going to make any money. And that's what happened. So that's the end of that. I don't know what else to say about it. Just is what it is. Unfortunate, but that's how it goes. So who knows? Maybe I can turn something around with the mansion game. That's what we stream on Thursday. Okay, maybe we can get into the crouch attacks here. Yeah, let's do crouch attacks. Crouching light punch. It's a normal, and we'll use normal timing. And there it is. As you can see, the hitboxes kind of slide all over the place because they're not right for this. Where's... Oh, there it is. You know, if you make your engine good enough, you can turn it into your own IP, like them fighting herds did. That's not the primary objective here, but if that does become a reality, if there is an opportunity to do that, I would absolutely do it. And it's a small part of why I'm doing this. It started off as an experiment, but after a while I'm like, hey, I could actually do something with this. That would be really cool. And I think it's absolutely possible for that to happen. The only I guess the only real hurdle there is the cost to make it the way that it needs to be made would be quite substantial. It would not be something that I could just do in my spare time. I would need a substantial amount of money to make any kind of project. It's like, okay, I can start the project and I can finish it 15 years later. Whoop-de-doo. So who's gonna wait 15 years for my fighter? And then in the meantime, everything else is coming out, and it's just gonna get forgotten. I'll be honest. I think part of the reason that a big indie fighter hasn't hit yet is more because they don't understand how to create good characters. And I don't mean good gameplay, I'm talking about good character design, relatable, cool characters that people want to play as. You know, Capcom and SNK kind of cornered that market, and to a lesser extent Guilty Gear. I think part of Guilty Gear's lack of success in the West is because those characters don't necessarily appeal to Western players as much as they do Japanese players. Skullgirls was partially successful, I guess. I wouldn't say, like, you know, I'm not going to speak for Mike Z, But I would expect that if Skullgirls was wildly successful, that it would have a hell of a lot more characters right now, and bigger updates and all that stuff. Maybe he doesn't want to do more with it. That's up to him, but I would expect that if Skullgirls was that big success, then you would see Skullgirls 2 with like 40 characters, and that's not the case. So I have a feeling that they didn't do gangbusters. They made enough money to do other projects, apparently, because they're doing the Indivisible or whatever. So maybe it's just, maybe they lost interest in doing the fighter. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Or at least take characters or add characters to the current one instead of doing Skullgirls 2. But you know what I mean. Well, Skullgirls has kind of like the best net play around, so I don't think that's a problem with Skullgirls specifically. Maybe other games. Well, I mean, fighting games are different than platformers in that regard, but I mean, you know, yeah, whether he adds characters to the current game or makes another game with more characters is kind of beside the point. The point is that, you know, Skullgirls for a 3v3 game has quite a lack of characters. Well, the performance in the net play, I don't know if Skullgirls has lobbies or not or whatever. But the performance, the lag, and the responsiveness are pretty top tier in Skullgirls, so that's not the problem. For me, I don't like Skullgirls because I don't like the character designs. I can't take the game seriously because it looks a little too goofy for me, I guess. Like the characters are they're just weird. I don't like them. I don't like how they look. Like the animation's fine, but I don't like the actual design of the characters. It doesn't appeal to me. So I don't want to play it. I don't think any current indie fighting game that I've seen quite has characters that are as good as like Capcom and SNK's characters in terms of like, you know, what people seem to be, what people like, and definitely not anything I've seen that I like. They all get very niche. Like, you even take that one that had, man, I don't remember. Like, it ended up bombing anyway, but it was like an anthropomorphic fighter or something, and it's like, it's very niche. They're all very niche projects. They very much suffered the same fate Darkstalkers did for probably the same reason. It's a very niche kind of thing. And sure, the people who really, really want that thing or really, really want it, but it's not going to sell gangbusters. And it's not going to reach that wide appeal and that wide success that other games have gotten in the genre. And I really, really, really think it has a lot to do with character design. It's just, you know, I mean, Ryu and Ken are pretty basic, but, you know, Ken's personality and stuff sticks out really well in this design. And there's tons of Street Fighter characters that are just super well designed. Like Chun-Li has one of the best designs in fighting games, period. In terms of visual design. I mean, I'm not talking about gameplay stuff. Because if you think the character looks cool, you'll put up with their gameplay to do it, most likely. To play as that character. A lot of people don't care what tools does this character have and this and that. And, you know, obviously the top pro players are going to think about that kind of stuff. But most casual players are going to be like, that dude looks cool and he does a cool move and I like that, so I'm going to be that dude. And I don't think a lot of indie fighters right now have that appeal. To be completely honest, I don't want to sound like I'm taking a dump on anybody here, but I don't see any of them that are appealing to me. And most of the people that I play with, they're just kind of the same thing. They're like, yeah, I don't know, I can't get into it. You may have the best gameplay on the planet, but if the characters aren't cool, no one cares. And again, you know, as far as gameplay and the tools characters have and stuff, you know, the people playing competitively might care more about that, but that's not going to be the vast majority of your market either. The vast majority of your market's going to be people that are like, that looks cool, and I want to do cool things, and I want to pick that guy because he's cool, and I like him. And that's it. That's all it amounts to. And they're probably not competitive players, and they probably don't care about any of the other stuff. They just want to pick a cool character and do cool things. Yeah, Peacock's pretty interesting. But I still, I don't know. I just don't imagine playing a fighting game where things look like 1950s animation. I don't know. For Peacock specifically, she has that appeal. I think it's neat that she has that contrast to the other characters, but I don't find any of them appealing. Actually, probably the only one I find appealing at this point might be like Beowulf, I think is his name. The wrestler guy. He's kind of cool. But he's probably the most appealing character, but I wouldn't say that he's a completely appealing character. He's just the most out of all of what's in Skullgirls. Alright, while I ramble here, let me start typing in numbers too. Assuming this is the... yeah, that's the body. Oh. Blade Strangers. Yeah, I don't know if you would classify Blade Strangers as indie. I think it was more of a crossover thing, right? Like from actual veteran developers of some sort. Yeah, Blade Strangers, it came out this past year on Switch, at least, probably PS4. I think it had like, didn't have like Code of Princess in there. Like it had crossover characters. It had Shovel Knight. It had the Cave Story girl or guy or one of them. Curly Brace, I don't know, one of them. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that that was indie. I think it is made by people. Actually, I think it's the people who made Yatagarasu. Might have been the same people, or maybe it was the same publisher. I don't know. Something. I don't really know, so I don't want to say one way or another. Let's see, 32. Oh, that ain't right. Is it? That can't be right. 32 and 27. That can't be right. No, that's the old. That's the old when I had them bigger. This gotta be 26, like the rest, and negative 13. Okay. How about that? That's better. Yeah, not many people hung around. I've heard that there was publisher interference, which drove some bonehead decisions, but I haven't played it myself, and I don't have enough. I don't have enough evidence to back any of that up. It's just hearsay, as far as I've heard. What the hell is this one? Must be. What the hell is this one then? That's the arm. Okay. Oh, wait, what the hell am I doing? I copy reuse boxes, I forgot. It's got the same small punch here. Crouching punch. Crouching light punch. Copy. Crouching light punch. Yeah, just paste the whole thing, it's fine. Okay. Yeah, okay. Looks like everything's all lined up. Yeah, alright, I made that harder than it had to be. Cool. Let's see. I recall myself recognizing Kawase, the girl with the fishing rod, from a Super Nintendo game. Oh, yeah, that's that one. with the grappling mechanic or something. I remember hearing something about it. I may not be remembering exactly what it was, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and it never came over here, so it was kind of a niche thing. Okay, Ken's crouching white kick's going to be the same as well, so we'll just copy that one. Alright, and let's activate it. Well, I wouldn't say activate it, but this information is new, and unless the move has this information set, it will not be usable in the battle. Alright. There we are. Okay. Cool. Okay, crouching heavy punch is going to be... That's going to be a thing. I think I'm just going to have to copy reuse actual animation too, because a lot of that has changed. So crouching hard punch. Yeah, okay. Copy all that. And let's see, our events are voice clip, attack whoosh, and are there 4 things or 3 things? 3 things. And the hitbox, okay. Which Ken should have all 3 of those already. Crouching heavy punch. So we are just going to wipe all that out and paste in reuse stuff, which will of course have reused sprites, but we'll fix that. Crouching. Must be the crouching light punch. Yeah. Oh. Oop. There we go. Okay. And then, so, reuse hitboxes for crouching heavy punch. C is for crouching. Copy that. I think Ken's doesn't push back as far, or something, or pushes back farther. So I'm not going to overwrite the attack data. But I will overwrite the hitboxes themselves. Say heavy, crouching, heavy punch. So I'm gonna paste boxes only. Let's make sure it looks right. Which it does. But I think he has some kind of different, something's different about it. Oh, I didn't reactivate it. Let's see. Crouching, heavy kick, heavy punch. It's a normal, and it has normal timing. There. Yeah. And it should connect off of that, and... But yeah, we didn't try that, so... Okay, good. And it should connect off of singles. Good. We're good there. Let's see. How do you bind Unity's animation event to actual move properties or logic? I'm not I hate to say it, but I'm not sure I understand exactly what you're asking. You're talking about like how does a hitbox work? So I just set the number 0 to 1. So hold on, let me get 2 hitboxes here, and we'll do the example where we are right now. So crouching heavy punch. Each hitbox here has like 0, 1, 2, 3. They're numbered. And so in animation, what I do here is these hitbox objects are inside of Ken's object here, and they have a hitbox controller, and I tell it what number that the hitbox should be. -1 means none, and then 0 or higher actually corresponds to box data. And then each box, so like this one is the hitbox, this actually does the damage, has a combo hit ID of 0, and that's what this attack data 0 here is, and this has all the properties for the hit itself. Yeah, so the attack data here that gets linked by the combo hit ID value here, this is what tells it how much stun, how much damage, how much pushback. So it goes back to 2 units, so that's 20 pixels. How much recovery, and then the hit advantage and the block advantage, the hit stop. In this case, it uses a default, but I could specify stuff. Right, yeah, each move has their own data. I mean, I could technically tell Ken to use reuse crouching light punch, boxes, that actual file, but I think it's better to copy it, so if Ken needs to get tweaked, that Ryu isn't also affected unintentionally. It is a lot. It's the biggest part of doing a character is doing hitboxes so far that I've experienced. Doing the animations and the hitboxes take forever, and they're all separate. So Terry's are completely different than Ken and Ryu's because he doesn't have the same animations. Ken and Ryu do share a lot, but they still have different ones. Like, his 2 kicks are different than Ryu's. So there's that. Okay, we want to do... I'll do the crouching medium kick, which is a unique move in this game. Or command normal, whatever you want to call it. I still call it crouching medium kick in the code though, because that's what I'm used to it being. So it is a normal, and it has normal time. Yeah, it's still a normal. And that is this one. So this is it's going to be 1 HK is the command, or holding diagonal down left and heavy kick. So again, Ryu has the hitboxes for this. I don't think anything has physically changed with the animation, so it should be the same. Let's see. Crouching medium kick. Copy. Hitboxes. Crouching medium kick. Paste. Let's refresh that. And take a look. That is wrong. That is not right. Okay. Let's I don't think I need to copy reuse. It should be pretty obvious what gets done here. Yeah, okay, so that yeah, alright. The main body might have to stay. Let's see, foot startup, leg. Yeah, alright, so main body stays the same. And that is 0, so anything on top here that changes it needs to go away. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have that much priority. That's the hit. Foot startup. Tag leg. And leg punish. So, let's 6 is unused. Do 4. 4. That looks better. Let's see. What does reuse look like? Yeah, I think it retains that priority, so let's see. The leg is number 4. We don't want it to change to 5 here. So boom, boom. And it retracts, and that looks fine. That looks better. There. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3 hits. There we go. Let's see. Also, how do you cycle through those? Through what? I don't know what you mean. I like this way of doing it, though. That's simple. I might steal the idea. Go right ahead. I can't expect people not to steal it if it's on stream, right? So I can do this. I can do this. No, can't do that. Yeah, the model behavior checks the number, and it will update. I'm not sure if because I got a hit system controller inside the model behavior script inside the fighter's core. And that might be calling it. I went through so many iterations of it, I'm not really sure which one it's doing right now. Yeah, I don't think... It's got a check mark. So something here is active in some capacity. Oh, duh, I've got a region for model behavior. Okay, so it's got an awake and a start, and it does have an update. Oh, okay, this is only for editor. This is only for the editor. It does the update for animation mode, so that it updates during the animation while it's frozen there. But I don't think... Yeah, I don't think it updates on its own. I think the hit system controller has, it has a link to all these, a reference to all these ones, and it tells it when to do it. At one point I did have it an update, but it doesn't do that. And then the hit system controller is in the root of the fighter object, and then it does all this stuff. Oh yeah, this is what I was working on last night. I'll have to fix this up. This is mostly copy paste code from something else, but excuse me. It's no longer, or it's not complete. I'll put it that way. Not complete yet. So, it was just part of my optimizations and stuff. What I want to do is load all the hitbox references right away, and then to pull out objects that are referenced in the hitboxes. So like special hit sparks for like fire moves, use the fire hit spark. They're not pooled because there's no reference to them. That gets called to pool them. So I'm making the controller look through all the animation files, find events that use a hitbox scriptable object, and then to initiate those on Awake. But it's only half done. No, this is what it does. it's literally in the animation. So these values, like I said, are tied to, you know, the hitbox data, and it'll try to load hitbox 0. -1 means nothing. Hitbox 2, hitbox 3. And then when the animation update runs, it'll then update the hitbox stuff. And inside here, there's box colliders, the box collider 2D, and it basically all it does is just change the size and location of this based on the data that's in the hitbox file. Yeah. And so these objects here, hitbox 1, 2, 3, 4, that's where I set these numbers inside the hitbox controller, and it will react to that. So that way it's all in the animation. Yeah, give it a shot. That was the best way I could figure out to get it in the animation itself. You know, so you're actually editing it in the animation as opposed to editing a scriptable object outside of the animation and having it correlate to that. You know, you could say, oh, well, it shows up on frame 3 and disappears at frame 5. But you don't see that in the animation when you're looking at it, you know? Then you're juggling back and forth between two files. I mean, you kind of are anyway to make sure that they're sized properly, but at least you can see the timeline of the animation. All the events are there. You don't have to worry about it. And that way you always know that it's synced up. So if it's showing up here, it better be represented down here or something's not right. And everything's off the same source. You don't have to worry about syncing two pieces of data together. So that's why I made it a point to make sure to do it like that. So it's all run off the animation file. And it works good to a degree. I wish it was a little easier to set values like this. But, because you can't like set arrays in animations. So if I were to take the hit controller here, hit system controller, I can't just have an array of boxes here that I can change the numbers on. It would be way easier to do that, but you can't animate arrays, so that doesn't help. And I haven't found an acceptable workaround to that kind of thing, so I'm just gonna have these here. I mean, these got to be here anyway to house the box controller, so it kind of is what it is. The only difficulty here is that, say, if you want these now to be parented to something else inside the object, now all your animation data is debunked. It's not going to line up, and you have to change every animation over again. That would be the issue with that. But I don't foresee myself having to parent them to a sub-object anyway, at least for this project, so I kind of let that slide, and I stopped bothering to research ways around that issue. So there is that. I guess the other thing that you could do, and it's kind of a waste of object space, but you could leave these here always, and then just if you wanted to parent these to something else, it would create a copy inside whatever you wanted, and then it would relay the data from here to the other one. That's a cheap way to do it, but I guess you could do that. Well, I'll get to NetPlay eventually. We got it like 15% working. Actually, it's more like 20%. It's like 20% working, but every time I change something in the game or the menus and stuff, it breaks that, and I gotta do it over anyway. So I'm focusing on getting Ken. Like, obviously, Ryu and Ken are out, but they're refined versions. And Terry, I want that all done, you know, soon. I want to get that done before I go on to AI and NetPlay. But once Terry's out the door, and then I'm gonna really hit hard on optimizing NetPlay options, redoing the control code, that kind of stuff. I want it to be really, really good. Okay, so Cartoon Medium Kick I think is all set. Oh, you know what I probably have to do? because I believe I didn't take reuse data here. I'm going to have to change the cancel properties. Yeah, they're all goobered up. So alright, no. Special and super, and that's it. I don't think there's anything else. Nope, not delete. I changed the objects here so they have no more references. Okay, that's good. Not like he has a special attack yet, but we're gonna reactivate that very soon. So the next thing, I want the crouching heavy kick, and that one changed a lot. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to literally copy a reuse animation again. Okay, I'll get rid of that and put that here, and let's copy the hitboxes. Crouching heavy kick. Copy. And crouching heavy kick. Let's see, we're in Ken's, right? Yeah. And we'll paste it completely. Okay. Alright, that looks okay. So now we just need to... sorry, my throat's all messed up today. We just need to put Ken's sprites in here. The alignment's a little bit off, but we'll do what we can here. Okay, that's probably better. Yeah, I think it's just because the offset was set in a different animation. Yeah, that should be okay. Oh, gotta have to activate it, right? Crouching heavy kick. So normal with normal timing. And there it is. Punk. Let's see. Good, and it trips them forward. Cool. Okay. That looks like that one came through quite alright. Okay. Next. I guess probably get his unique attacks, and since we put the other command normal. Okay, his overhead kick is unique to him, so we will not be referencing reuse data here. We will be conforming it to the new style, but we'll go ahead and... Oh, you know what? Also, yeah, we'll have to do these hitboxes for standing light kick. Okay, I did put the normal light in there. And heavy kick. Okay, normal heavy isn't there. Okay, good. And overhead kick. Okay, that's where we're gonna do. I guess it's a heavy, normal heavy. They used to have different classifications for command normals, but I don't think that they're required. There we go. Now he'll retaliate. There, so it trades with other heavy attacks, so that works. Oh. Yeah, it's gotta be frame perfect to clash. There, boom. I like that. Okay, cool. So, alright, let's redo the hitboxes then. Can overhead kick. Okay, we're already here. Okay, and this is stand body. Don't know what that is. Assuming was this number 9? Yeah. Yep, that's it. Okay. That's a stand. Okay, well, this one's easy. -10, 20, 38. And that should be okay because he's just in a standing position. So here's the one. This should be -13. What did we say? 26, 39? It's already 39. Okay, so I already found a problem. Frame 0 never shows. Only frame 1 and beyond. Because, well, frame 0 is just your establishing properties. So either frame 0 doesn't need to be there at all, which means that this would get moved over to here, or if we wanted frame 0 to actually show, we'd have to have frame 1 be that and then come up, which not a bad idea either. Just makes it a little smoother to have that in between. That's fine, we'll leave it like that. We could even do this to make that frame more apparent. Could even change this to snap faster. It's hard to see without, or with the lines in the way. I think that works okay. See you later. Yeah, we're almost out of time anyway, aren't we? It's getting close. Getting close. Give about 15 minutes. A little more than 15 minutes of that. At that. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Okay. I'm gonna put the lines back on. Okay, so we figured out the first frame. We let it actually be shown. That frame's okay. I don't think there's anything too necessary there. This one's not too bad. Is that where this comes from? Yeah, okay. So this is... start up kick 1 body, so we know what it means, what it is. I'll push it back a little bit. I'll give it a little more width. And it should be 39, yeah. I'm going to assume that, yeah, that's that. So that's start up 1 kick leg. This one doesn't have to be too high. Probably going to actually bump it up a little bit so that low hitting attacks don't pick that up if they're ever that high. Did not want that height difference. And we can do it like that so it lines up on top. Now this one's the one that we can have more, yeah. Is that this one? Yeah, okay. So this is start up 2 leg. Start up 2 kick leg. Let's make it a little out forward. More like this. Bring it back in 1 so that it's in line with this. Let's see how that works. Kind of just shifts it upward. Yeah, that should do. I'm gonna move it down just a little bit. See, that starts at Y of 13, this starts at 17. And then we'll bump the height just a little bit. There, so something like that. Okay, and the body space here, assuming that's the 10. Yeah, okay, so that's start up kick. And I don't care so much about the offset, but I do want the 20 and the 38 here. And then we'll deal with the offset as we need to. There, that should be okay. Oh, the follower message got broke. I think it's all messed up. Hold on. Let me refresh it. I see it on the bottom, the little scroller on the bottom. Or the thing that flips back and forth. Yeah, it sometimes gets messed up when somebody follows, so. It is fixed now. I'm gonna have to program a different display there. I've been meaning to do that for a while, just haven't gotten to it. Okay, and then the next frame, boom, it's going down. And so that's 11. This would be 20, 38, and we'll adjust. That's actually pretty good, right where it is. Don't really think it needs to be thinner or anything. Okay, then what is this one? Okay, so that's kick 1 body. It's gonna be, actually that's pretty good. You don't want it to be too far stretched out because then you could hit it, you know, under the foot there, where the foot's already lifted up. You don't want that. Assuming this is going to be companion one here. Yeah, it's the leg. Let me move him back here. Be easier to see. Oh, this one has to be 39 again. I was making him too tall there. Okay, we want it to have a little bit of priority going down, which is why this isn't lower down here. But it also makes it more punishable from the air. So I think that's fair enough to make that like that. Probably want to actually have it a little bit out too, because it's not really meant to be a poke. Yeah, boom. Boom. Okay, and so kick 2. Oh wait, so this is kick 1 leg. That's the actual hit. Here is kick 2 leg. I don't think that actually changes anything there, so I'm not sure what that one is yet. Looks like it's still using the same body. Yeah. Kick 1 and 2 body. Okay, so kick 2 leg. This one should be simple to offset here. Just want to make sure that it connects here because the legs are together now. It is not a poke, so we want that out there. And something like that, I guess. I really want to change that body though. I really think that body needs to change. So we're going to add, and this is going to be kick 2 body. And so this kick 1 and 2 body is just going to go back to being, oh, going to go back to being just kick 1. Alright, and this is 13, that's 4, so on this frame, 4 turns into 13. And so it's going to be 39 tall, it's grabbable. And it's going to be like this big. Because it's covering this part up here. This could actually probably shrink just a little bit. It doesn't have to compensate for that height anymore. And then it's not a poke, so it's actually encased in it. Yeah, I would dare to say to actually put it a little bit outside. Contemplating on whether or not to shrink the hitbox a little bit. As it is, it's possible that it might trade with standing attacks, so I don't want that to be a thing either. So this is hit 2. We're gonna make that, yeah, something like this. This is okay to trade with standing attacks. There, so let's just make this, it's not a poke, it's your overhead. It's not meant to be a poke, it's got good range, kind of, but it will basically trade with everything, so that's how that works. Yeah, I'm kind of actually going back on my decision here to because it is overhead, I'm thinking that maybe that shouldn't be like that. And maybe it should be like this. I guess. Because it could potentially, I don't know. I was thinking that it could potentially maybe outdo some standing attacks because it's so damn high. I don't know. I think that's good the way it is right here. I think that's the right way to go. Okay, and then going to assume that's what this is. Yeah, okay, so this is recovery body. It's pretty good as is. I'll make it at least 26 because that's what the standing one is. Just yeah, like that should be fine. All the body spaces are accounted for, so that should be okay. And then this just goes back to 0 and 9, which were the original. I think that will do it then for this. It's actually at a range now for that. I think it's because the push box got moved up a little bit. That's not enough time. Oh, that's not what I want. Oh, that's right. In Power Max, it's a different animation. It's a different move. That's why it didn't work in Power Max mode when I tried it. We'll adjust the hit push and stuff after, because I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with this anyway. Before I had it link into something, but it doesn't seem to work. Even if his wake up's taken off, I think. Yeah, it does. It just misses now. And that's fine. We'll adjust that later. Alright, that looks okay. So the next one is we're gonna just copy the move here, paste only the boxes, and then yeah, I have a feeling that the hitboxes are gonna have to stay the same. So we'll copy those. So overhead kick in Max has like the fire and stuff. It may, I was gonna say, it may or may not have the same timing here. I think it does. It just has different hit advantage. Yeah, we'll just make sure that that looks right. That ain't right. There. Okay, so that wasn't too bad to adapt. So, copy these, paste boxes only. Maybe I already did that. I think I already did that, yeah. Okay, yeah, there's a few instances here where the timing's a little bit different. Oh, that's right, because we changed this. That's why. That's why. Yeah. Yeah, that should be alright. Okay, so... Oh, we gotta activate it, right. Overhead kick max, so... It's command normal, and it's got normal timing. Okay, normal one. Hey, there we go. Max one. Yeah, cool. Alright, that looks pretty good. Alright, it's 9 o'clock, so I guess that's the last one. I guess we'll wrap it up. Alright, well, thanks everybody for hanging out. Very happy we had a nice chat today and talked about a whole range of stuff. So, now if you don't know, you should probably do, because everybody's is. Our stream here is patron funded, and we do have a whole bunch of top tier patrons to say the names of. So we've got Zombie Killer, which is our super mega ultra patron. We got Jerry Berry, Javier Garcia, AJ, and Bryce Nigelwingham. So thank you super extra much. And you too can be part of the Scrub Army and support Game Dev Scrubs. We've got code samples, we've got early builds of the projects available, like the one right here, and much more. So check that out, and you can follow us. You can follow me on Twitter. I should have been running around the bottom of the screen there for God knows how long during the stream. So you got that, and oh man, I'm dying here. Let's see, Discord. Yeah, go to Discord. Yell at us in person all the time, every day, 24 hours. So there you go. Discord, Twitter, all that stuff. So anyway, scrub out. Have a good one, and I will see you back hopefully Thursday, where we'll work on the Mansion game, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, we'll see you back on Monday from our Pocket Fighter at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. So see you later. Have a good one, and adios.